Hey, good morning everybody. Just want to make a short video showing how I've been using my new 3D printer, a Anycubic Mega S, to help me with some of my arcade building techniques. I've been trying to improve those. I've made some mistakes in the past, and I'm always looking for better ways, and I thought that this 3D printer would be a fantastic way to help alleviate some of those issues. So I got my final graphics here. When I first, before I drilled out all these holes, had my control panel. I had put the graphics in the proper location, and then I used a center punch to punch each of the center points of those holes. So that was the first step. Give me a nice divot in the wood that I could use for my drill bits and my Forstner bits to drill out all those holes. I'd made some mistakes in the past where my holes were slightly off center, and when you've got these colored rings, it really shows that non-concentricity. If you're off ever so slightly, even like a 1/16 of an inch, shows really bad. So that was my first step. Once I had done that, I took and I drilled all these with the Forstner bits, and then I drilled a small center point on the trackball. This is a 2 1/4 inch trackball that I'm using here. Next step was I 3D printed a guide that would help me router out this 2 1/4 inch hole. So I designed this in Fusion 360. I had previously made these out of plywood, but I was having issues where the plywood is a little softer, and if you press too hard with your pattern cutting bit, it was making little divots in the side of my pattern, and the patterns weren't perfect. So I wanted to try a harder material. I printed these out of just standard PLA on my 3D printer. So I designed this with the countersunk holes for the screws. I even designed in, oh, I had that upside down, countersunk holes for the screws, and then a through hole as well. I designed in this little spoke that I could break out of there real easy. So what I did first is I took this, put my drill bit back into the hole, place this onto the drill bit, and then popped out this little centerpiece, screwed it down into place, and then from the bottom side, use a pattern cutting bit to perfectly cut that 2 1/4 inch circle in there. Remove that, printed up a 4x4 pattern, same idea, countersunk, through holes. Place that on here, screwed it down, and then now with this flipped over with a pattern cutting bit, cut out this recess to the correct depth for the trackball. It's made the same kind of thing, but for the joystick here. So again, put that here, slightly less of a cutout because I need to leave some thickness for the screws to bite in from the backside. I don't like to use through screws on my joysticks. I find if I use a nice heavy duty but short screw, I don't have any issues even jerking the heck out of the joystick. Don't have any issues tearing those out. So just a more aesthetic look. Same thing for the trackball. I'm not going to use a mounting plate or through screws or anything. I got a bracket that comes over here. The plywood is plenty strong, even though I've routed it down to just a couple millimeters thick. Plenty strong to hold that trackball in place with no through hardware. So found that worked really good. Next step was I want to make sure not only that the holes aren't off location, but I want to make sure I don't put my graphics down off location. So I've had issues before where it was slightly crooked or off left, right, or up or down. So I 3D printed these little 28mm guides. I don't know if you can see this here, but there's a little point that sticks out of the center of the top. So I can take these, I can pop them into the buttonholes. So one on the left, one on the right. And now when I take my graphics, I've already cut out a strip. I didn't peel the backer off, but it's ready to go. So now when I peel that strip off and I get ready to assemble it, all I have to do is align these little prick marks that were made with a center punch to these little points, which I can't, there it is, which I have on those little circles. Line this one up as well, and then I know I'll be perfectly aligned when I go to adhere this on there. So that'll get rid of the concentricity issues. My little templates have gotten rid of the issue where the router wants to bite into the sides. Plus they're nice and compact. I can hang them on the workbench, etc. for next time. I gotta imagine that these will last at least 10 times, if not more. And then one last piece I made to help me out with another issue that I've had in the past. I made this little joystick centering jig. So I designed it with this outer diameter to match my joystick hole diameter. I made this inner hole to match the diameter of my joystick shaft, so I can put it through like that. And then I can put it through, seat it down, which makes sure that I'm nice and perpendicular. So now I'm perpendicular and centered. And then when I go to put my joystick on, all I have to do is put it on the shaft, square it up in my recess, drive my 4 screws, and then I don't have any issues with my joystick being off center. I've had to break out the Dremel tool in the past and route out the side where the joystick shaft was hitting the wood, so that alleviates that issue as well. So in the constant effort to improve my cabinets each time I make one, I thought this was a good opportunity to use the technology of the 3D printer to help with those issues. We'll see how this one comes out. I'll share it when it's done, but hope everybody enjoyed that, and maybe it spurred some thoughts as to how you can improve your projects as well. Hey, I'm back. Just wanted to follow up after I had a chance to apply the control panel artwork. Did run into an issue, something I should have thought about when the vinyl was delivered. It had quite a wave to it. The release liner wasn't 100% adhered to the back, so when I punched my holes, the further I get from where I started, the worse my offset gets. So you can see the trackball is a little, actually it looks pretty good, but as you get over to the joystick, which is the far from where I started over here, you can see I'm quite a bit off again. So didn't 100% solve my issue. I'm pretty good up and down. Would help if I didn't have these concentric circles around. It really highlights how much I'm off. But if I had taken that release liner off and then reapplied it so it was flat and then punched my holes, I think I would have alleviated this issue. I can make up for this on the joystick for sure, which is, like I say, the worst part. I'm going to print a little insert ring to fit in here. Not sure how much room I have to actually do that, but I'll have to put the bottom on so I can make sure the switches are getting activated and then measure how much gap I have at full travel. I could always drill this hole bigger as well, but I'm planning on 3D printing a trim ring to go inside here to cover up the edge of the graphics. Probably print that in blue to match, so it'll go down into the hole and then have a small lip on the outside as well with a beveled what would I call that, inside, so that when the joystick is fully traveled, it, you know, gets close to that bevel. So I could print that top piece, little offset to the left to account for some of that, kind of take away the visual. I am probably way more critical of my mistakes than most people would. Most people walk up to a machine, they're like, wow, that looks amazing, and they start playing. You know, they don't nitpick all the little things that I see, but just want to follow up and share that fully applied vinyl and some of the snags I still ran into.